Okay, today is November 13, 22. Interesting day again. I had rereads, of course. Even with Michelle. Okay, November 6, 22. Central Baptist had come out that, they were there saying that it was an agent that called me back. He's the one that went up and told on me before I called him back. Okay. Sat inside at 10 o'clock in the morning. Some lady said she's been running it here. And she told the guy that said he was getting even with me for faking I was sick and faking I got well before the wah 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 group, Ron Vega group, where Strange made that up 20 years ago and I have scars. He knew I had surgeries. They walked, that ministry even showed up at the hospital and prayed for me for I had the surgeries. I have MRI reports, I have blood work, but I was faking all that because he controls people. He's a cult leader and they go along with it. And you got to think even on the weirdest scenario, if some reject would even make up that they were sick and made up that they got well, you call them an idiot. You don't kill them for it, but they do. And they knew for years I went through those surgeries. I was getting sick, all this. They watched me. And then they used to watch me starting to get well. And then they watched me get well months after that kid got killed. Had nothing to do with the death. His father-in-law ran a stop sign. And a semi hit him. My whole family is like 20, 30 miles away. But I happened to get well a few months later. And that a cult leader told everybody she was faking she was sick and faking she got well to hurt them while they were grieving. Still telling it 15 years later. And this weird man that worked for him showed up in the case and said he was going to get even with me. And I had MRI reports, blood work. You can't fake that. You see the fluid on my legs and all this other stuff where my legs were going all place from the buildup in fluid. So, the case started, the guy showed up and I knew my house was fucked. So I start, uh, showing the things in my house. I'm like, look, if you don't believe me, here's this, here's this, here's this. This is what happened. This is the surgery I had. Here's this scar. I even lifted up my shirt, my home, when I'm home alone because I knew it was bugs. Like, look, I have this, I have this, I have this. I said, look, because I knew my house was bugged from the Protect a Lie case. And I took pictures of it because I knew they had a copy of my phone. And so that they knew since 18. And inside Central Baptist on November 6, 22 at 10 o'clock, she's like, I told that guy to cut it out, that she sent him proof that she was sick. Well, he already knew it. In 18, honey. And they said, and the people that said they were getting even with her for saying something, uh, they can't get even with you. It's badgering. It's bullying. They're not allowed. You can tell anybody you want. It's freedom of speech in any protection program. They just made up rules over themselves to confine me. Uh-huh. Yeah. He said, well, we found out that the man that told on her the night before she called that agent back was actually that agent that she called back. And that officer verified it because it was a Stark County sheriff. Looks just like Judge Timothy Luda. Could be his kid. The black hair, black eyes, dark black glasses, filled out his face really round. It's him. He's a Stark County sheriff. And he showed up in his uniform like 2 weeks ago in his squad car. And people that watch the case are like, he's stupid showing up in his uniform. They always kept saying they didn't know who he was because they were looking in Portage County for him. He was a Stark County sheriff with Will because Will was from the Canton Courthouse Task Force. He shouldn't even have seen it. I lived in Portage County. If you Google who's over Portage County, Ohio, FBI office, it should have went to Akron because I called the hotline. Okay? That lady said, he's like, it was an agent that called her back, and where she hadn't called him back yet, he went and told on her before she called him back, and that officer witnessed it. Because when Paymer went, my God, I had an FBI agent in my office, he's right over there. Well, Will had walked off, and the only one who was sitting there was the Stark County Sheriff in plain clothes that was up there with him. He pointed at the sheriff. The sheriff got out and looked at me, and his went, I thought, where the hell you been? And he got, because he hadn't seen me in a long time. Yeah, and he verified to them that it was the agent that called me back. And before I called him back, he went and told on me. Why? Because Michelle is one of his family members. Okay? Yeah, that's where, and she's like, oh my Lord. Because he told on me before he called me back, and he made up all those crazy lies and rules, and then ordered me into saying I was lying when I was trying to get a statement, or he put me in jail and he arrested me when I had evidence to give him. That's badgering, that's obstruction to justice, and tampering with evidence. Okay? So yeah. And then it came out where Krista was following me from Faith Family Church, one of the counselors, November, well, what would that be? The 8th of 22. She shows up and she's following me in my day hab around, and she's staring at us, and then I confront her by the van because she's still watching me an hour later with my day hab. And she's like, how are you? And then I, blah, 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 blah. How they date, rape, drug me, Photoshop me. Oh, you'll be found innocent. It's like I can pass an FBI background check. I do home health care. I just got my med certification. They lie to people that I have charges. Da, 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 da. Karen. She's like, I gotta go. And then Michelle shows up at my client's that night at 4 o'clock. My car's bugged. My phone's bugged. Okay? And they can hear her through it. And she's out there. Krista called me and told me how not funny this is. It was the people before, the tapes before were the people helping us get everything. That was it. Nobody should ever say a word to her. Da, 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 da. And it was all them. And then all these people just help us get everything. Da, 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 da. And that's it. Nobody better say a word. She's right. None of this is funny. She didn't even know we were going out while they were still together. And she's running her mouth. Okay? And she won't quit running her mouth. And she's telling them to knock it off, that all the tapes before were just the people helping them get everything, nothing else. Where they photoshopped the shower scene and date rape drug me. And they were stalking tapes and then causing this terrorism group. And that everybody else just helped them get everything out of attempted murder. Okay? That it really isn't funny. And then she knew about the medical license. She knew about me taking care of people and told everybody to cut it out. Okay. So Friday, November 11th, inside Walmart, guys walk in. We were supposed to protect her when she is out, and we found out it was Will doing it to her the whole time. We're supposed to protect her. He was running around saying he was the one taped her before, and we found out it was him doing all of this. I know. Wow. And they're pissed. November 11th, 22. Like I said, my phone's bugged. Any vehicle I drive is bugged. From the protected light case. I go down with my day hab to Maslin on 3rd Street, one of the guys from the case. We all found out it was just that idiot trying to steal everything from her in life for his family. And that's exactly what was going on. He was stealing everything she had in life for his own family. And that's exactly what was going on. And nobody better say a word to her. Okay? Well, today I went out. I went and looked at new cars because I was having some different things go on with my car. And I don't want to keep putting money in it. Okay? So I went up and I got my car. And I thought, well, they won't recognize my car if I just drive by. Maybe I can see somebody. I want to drive by my son's house. I miss my family. I don't go see them because I got all the reasons. Oh my God. I miss them. I almost died to save them. That's why people like Vito, these people sell the case. They sell police information. They need to get in there and make sure that every informant, every witness protection program person in this area, that they didn't hack into it and sell it for money to, and those people are going to get killed. They sold my case. Selling police information is 13 years in prison. They're not in trouble for having it, but they're in trouble for selling it. So I haven't been going around my grandkids. You know, Dave never got arrested for any of this. Nothing. Beat me with internal injuries in front of the police. He missed it on my phone. You can see it's him. Police have the same case. I have emergency reports, scopes, bruises. They have a video in a protective light case where I ask for help. They record it. They have him recorded that he knows of a threat on my life because that officer talked to Dave about it. Do you know what? Is he in jail? No. Do they have these people dead to rights hurting me? Yes! Like the Amish men with the beards, they actually have it. Okay? That's one of the things they said on November 6, 22. Karen's okay anymore. We actually found the court order for that projectile light case. They found it. Okay? Well, I drove by my youngest sons, and I thought, I just want to see him. I miss them. I almost died to save them. They were talking about it out at Rapika's office about a month ago when I was there. And Warren, some of the girls from the case. We all know she almost died to save everyone. None of this is funny. I lived through a concentration camp set up by my ex-husband and his horrible girlfriend's family. And it's a cult. Okay, going forward. Going forward. I went to drive by my, you hear him scream driving by. I drove by my son's. My one grandson, Gabe, was outside cleaning a deer. I pull up and I roll the window down. And it's like, hey. He's like, hi. And I said, and I was talking to him for a second. And I said, hey, will you go get Daniel? He said, yeah, I'll see if he'll come out. Well, my son Danny came out. He's like, hey, Mom. He come out and he's talking to me and he's looking at my car and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He said, I asked Josh if he ever even seen you anymore. I said, well, I work a lot. And I said, I work this time, work this time, I work this time, I work this time, I work this time, I work this time. And he said, and he kept it up and kept it up and kept it up. And I said, yeah, I said, I work this time, I work that, all I do is work. And I said, I work this many hours. He's like, I work a lot too, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I know what it's like. And I said, hey, can I see Daniel? He said, well, Geeky, my baby, he come running out, and he's taller than I am. I haven't seen him in over a year. And I'm sitting there talking to him. He's like, Mommy, would you like to come in? And we went in, and his wife's there, and we sat and we talked and we joked about a lot of different things. And I sat there for about 2 to 3 hours. And when we go to leave, and she's sitting there talking about somebody at work making up lies. I looked at her and I said, liars are liars. And you get used, I said, you just let it go. She's like, well, I'm not allowed to say anything. I said, they're just a bunch of Pinocchio groups and the wah, wah, wah groups. She just looked at me. I said, and I told her what happened with Krista and about people making up that I have charges. She's like, Karen, that's not funny. Why would someone ever say you have charges? Okay. And I said, I can't believe people fall for it. I said, this one girl I work with, she started laughing. She's like, they just poke you anywhere they can, don't they? And I said, you have to pass an FBI background check to work home health care. She's like, well, you still have your CCW, right? I said, of course. I just got it. 5 years ago, we all got it together, remember? I said, I'd go down there. I said, the nice officer was down there. I said, I was joking around with him when I went back down. And I said, I still have my notary, too. I redid it like 2 or 3 years ago. I said, squeaky clean, one traffic ticket. I said, I've never been questioned, I've never been prosecuted, I've never been found guilty. I said, I've never even been questioned wrongdoing. I said, so, I said, they've been lying to people at Faith Family Church that I had charges and they needed to follow me around and say stuff. She's like, what? And I told her about Krista, and I said, it's not the first person. I said, I thought I'm going to take care of this. I'm too busy. I work at a day hab, a day program for adults. I take care of handicapped people. I take care of home health care. This needs to stop. And I said, she walked around inside staring at me and my clients. I had 9. I said, I go to get, she's out there an hour later waiting by the van to say something to me. She's like, why? I said, exactly. I said, I got my people in. I walked to the other side of the van where they couldn't hear me. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, how's it going? I said, well, it's been pretty rough. Da 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 da. And I said, and yeah. And she's like, Karen, she's like, they better buy a lot of shorts because a lot of people's pants got burned up if they were telling people you had charges. And she's like, and I said, they're nothing. I showed her the picture of the Pinocchio group. I said, I bought them a label. They're the Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire cult. And the Wham, Wham, Wham group. And I said, look at yours and call yours that. And she's like, I'll get in trouble. I said, well, then say it where they can't hear it. I said, because that's what I said. Some girl showed up and told him not to say anything that Krista called him and that none of this is funny. And da 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 da. And she's like, yeah. So I told you the Canton Police showed up April 14, 22 at Save-A-Lot and said, that's sick what's going on about the man going da 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 da, and they even have people pretend to be her kids, bad mouthing her. And we interviewed her whole family, and we asked her family, and they didn't know anything about it. They didn't even know about people saying I had charges. See what I mean? It's just Michelle, retired Judge Pete, and Will's a family member, made up this whole crazy shit. That's why the Portage County Sheriffs didn't know they were in my home, because it was just them doing it on their own. They didn't have a court order. There's no such thing. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. It's the 4th Amendment. They got the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Yeah, and then like they said, it was that idiot doing this to her to steal everything she had in life for his own family, and that's exactly what's going on. Yeah, where they photoshopped shower scenes to make me look weird, date rape, drug me, lied they had sodium pentothal reports to run it like a spy flick thing, and then publicly humiliated me for their family and for people to terrorize me, for people that could have paid me off or put me in the witness protection program and hid me. And they could have got it that way. That would have been human. And under God's green earth, for their family to extort money under attempt to murder, drugs, and kidnapping. Photoshopping is asinine. And then to badger me, and they're laughing at the law for not arresting him. Well, I'll tell you what, there's other people down here. And they'll do it to the next person if they don't stop them. Because I tell you what, that blonde girl at Faith Family Church, mean teenager, I think that's Michelle. Her dad's an FBI agent. And she admitted to see me on the bathroom toilet. She made fun of me for being raped. And those girls, mean girls at church, wanted to know if they could get those men to rape and beat somebody else. Yeah, we could just have to ask them. They'd rape anybody for you. They're dangerous, and they're in a sea of 3,000. Everybody's at risk for them to be there. Extortion, drugs, rape. And I talked to the one sheriff, and he's like, are you sure the mafia's? And I made sure I said that to my daughter-in-law, John. I said, I talked to a retired sheriff. I said, he said he thought the mafia did it, was involved in this. She just looked at me. Yeah. That's the way that retired judge and that agent, that his family member out of the area that he was not to even be over, got involved And he did it as if like a mafia would do. He is a profile of what the FBI hunts and police investigators and marshals. Uh-huh. The serial killers, the extortionists, the druggers, the Jim Jones, Jeffrey Dahmers, they are who they hunt, who they profile. They became to steal everything for their own family. They could have paid me off. They could have put me in the witness protection program. Let the government take care of me. Under God's green earth, you don't dehumanize a human, hurt them, harm them, and publicly humiliate them unless you're pure evil. Yeah, my family did know. Why would somebody even say that about you, Karen? That's not funny. Mhm. And why would they have people follow you? I told you, the camp police said they asked them and they knew nothing. I'll tell you what, they would never admit to knowing anything. Why? Because they're not going to admit that they had somebody break in my door, stalk me with button cameras, and date rape drug me and Photoshop scenes and then try to extort money. They're not stupid. See what